My mother sold her jewelry so I could come to the United States. She died without seeing me return. I was 33 years old when my mother opened that small wooden box in front of me for the last time. I remember everything. I remember the smell of her room, that perfume mix with sandalwood and the coconut oil she put in her hair every morning since I was a child. I remember the light coming through the window, that golden late afternoon light in Pune, falling on the bed where she sat with the box in her lap. I remember her hands that bathed me, that combed my hair, that taught me to make chapati, that held me when I cried for the first time with a broken heart. Those hands, now with more pronounced veins, more aged, slowly opened the lid of that box, as if they were opening something sacred. And it was sacred. That dark wooden box held everything my mother had of material value in the world. The jewelry she received on her wedding day with my father, the gold Mangalsutra she never removed from her neck, except on that day, the gold earrings my grandmother had given her, a thin bracelet that had belonged to my great-grandmother. For us, Indian women, you need to understand, these pieces of jewelry are not ornaments. They are security. They are years of life, stored in gold. They are what a woman has when everything else is gone. My mother opened that box and said, "Priya, this is for you to go." I couldn't speak. I just looked at her. She continued, "Your sister is already settled. Your brother has your father's business. You are the one with the talent, the one who studied, the one God prepared for something greater. This jewelry will become your ticket, will become your first months there. You go, you work, you send money back. And in 2 years you come back and we buy everything back. 2 years." She said 2 years. Today, I am 52 years old. 19 years have passed since that afternoon. 9 of them I spent in the United States. And my mother died without seeing me return. I had to accept a job offer in New Jersey. It was a technology company, an opportunity that many people in my field dreamed of. The salary, in dollars, seemed absurd compared to what I was earning in Pune. My husband, Rayesh, had stayed behind for now. The idea was that I would get settled first, get the right visa, and then he would come. We had 2 small children. Rohan was 6 years old. Mira was 4. Can you imagine that? Leaving 2 small children, your husband, your mother, your entire life, and boarding a plane to a country where you knew no one, where the winter arrived in a way you had never felt on your skin, where your accent gave you away every time you opened your mouth. I imagined it would be temporary. Everyone who embarks on this journey imagines it is temporary. My mother's jewelry became a sum that she deposited in an account they opened together. She went to the jeweler with my aunt, sold each piece one by one, came home, put the money in that account and handed me the card. She didn't cry in front of me. My mother was that type, strong on the outside, a volcano on the inside. Only years later did my sister tell me that she arrived home that day, went to her room, closed the door, and didn't come out for 2 hours. I only found out about that after she had already died. At the Mumbai airport, she held me for a long time. She said almost nothing. She only said one thing in my ear, "You are my most courageous daughter. Go with God." And she let me go. I walked through the boarding line looking back several times. She stood there, her orange sari a patch of color in the middle of everything, her hand raised waving at me until I disappeared through the gate. That was the last time I saw her in person. The first months in New Jersey were the hardest of my adult life. I shared an apartment with 2 other Indian women who had also recently arrived, one from Chennai, one from Hyderabad. We barely knew each other, but we shared the rent. We shared the stove. We sometimes shared the heavy silence of those who are far from home and don't want to admit they are suffering. The cold was a living thing. I had never felt cold like that. In Pune, in winter, you put on a thin jacket and think you are freezing. There, the wind cut through the skin. The snow was beautiful in the first few days and unsettling after. That whiteness over everything, that silence snow brings, made me feel as though the world had stopped and forgotten me. Inside it, I worked hard. I arrived early, left late. I learned quickly that in the United States, what counts is the delivery, the output, the result. I learned to navigate meetings in English, to defend my ideas in an environment where people speak louder and with more confidence than I was used to. I learned to eat alone at lunch without feeling embarrassed. I learned that loneliness is not the same as weakness. Every Sunday morning, I called my mother. She asked the same things every week. Are you eating properly? Is it cold there? Are you wearing a coat? Are you going to the temple? And I answered everything with the same care, as always, without letting on when things were difficult, because I knew she was on the other side of the world without being able to do anything. And the last thing I wanted was to add to the weight she already carried. She would tell me the news from Pune, the neighbor's dog that had run away, the wedding celebration of a cousin's daughter, the garden she was trying to grow at the back of the house. She wanted to plant coriander and tomatoes. Small things, everyday things that I listened to with a physical longing, that homesickness that truly tightens your chest. When are you coming, daughter? She would ask almost every week. Soon, Ma, I would answer. Let me settle a little more. Soon, a little more. Those words we use when we don't have the courage to tell the truth, that the visa is complicated, that the company asked us to wait, that the financial situation is not yet where it needs to be, that the immigration system in the United States is not a straight path. It is a labyrinth with walls that move every time you think you have gotten close to the exit. 2 years became 3, 3 became 5. Every year, I thought the next would be the turning point. The next would be the year I could finally go back, embrace my mother, return to her at least part of what she had given me. The next never came in time. There is something that people who have never gone through this process do not understand, and I need to talk about it, because it is a central part of my story and of the story of thousands of Indians who are in the United States today, working, contributing, paying taxes, building lives, and still cannot simply buy a plane ticket and go home when they want to. The American work visa system, especially for Indians, is one of the most cruel and bureaucratically perverse situations I have ever seen in my life. I was on an H-1B visa. Those who know already know what is coming. For those who don't, the H-1B is a temporary work visa to become a permanent resident, which gives you the real freedom to come and go. You need a green card. And for an Indian national, the wait for a green card in the employment-based category I was in was, when I arrived, over 10 years. Today, in 2026, that queue has reached estimates of decades. Decades. It is not an exaggeration. It is the real number. What does this mean in practice? It means that, while your case is in process, traveling outside the United States becomes a calculated risk. You need specific documents. You need approvals. If something goes wrong upon re-entry, and things do go wrong, you can lose years of process. You can have your status compromised. You can be prevented from re-entering. In my 5th year there, my company filed the green card petition. It was a moment of enormous relief. I thought freedom was coming. My immigration attorney carefully explained to me what being in that queue as an Indian national meant. The demand is so great. The number of slots available per country is so limited that the wait would be long. Very long. You can travel, he told me, but you need to be careful. You need the right documentation. You need to make sure your situation is stable before any international trip. And then came what I feared most. My mother fell ill. She was 68 years old when the doctor diagnosed the heart problems. Nothing immediate, but serious enough to need constant monitoring. My sister and brother were in Pune and took over her care, and I am grateful to them for that to this day, with a gratitude that words cannot hold. But I, the daughter on the other side of the world, lay awake in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling of my New Jersey apartment thinking, what if something happens? What if I need to go right now? I visited her once, in my 6th year there. I managed to organize everything with the attorney, got the necessary documentation, bought the ticket. I stayed 3 weeks in Pune, 3 weeks in 9 years. That is what the system gave me. Those 3 weeks were the most intense of my life. My mother was smaller than I remembered, or I had grown too much inside my own head. I don't know. She had completely white hair now, worn in a low bun. She cooked for me every day. She woke up early to make the breakfast I loved, with spiced bread and cardamom chai. She would sit in the kitchen watching me eat, with that smile mothers have when they finally have their child home. "You are thin," she would say. "Ma, I am not thin. You are. You don't eat properly there." Arguing with my mother about whether or not I was thin was one of the best things I did during those 3 weeks. On the last night before I returned, we sat on the terrace. After dinner, she had a shawl around her shoulders, Pune's sky full of stars. We sat in silence for a long time, and then she took my hand and said, "I know it is not easy, daughter. I know you are not there by choice, but promise me you will come back. Promise me I will see you here again. I promise." "Ma, I promised." And I believed my own promise. 2 years later, she was gone. It was a Tuesday morning. I was getting ready for an important meeting when my phone rang. It was my sister Ananya. When the phone rings early in the morning and it is your sister calling from another country, you already know, deep down, before you answer. The body knows before the mind. I felt a weight descend through my chest before I even put the phone to my ear. "Priya," she said, and in the way she spoke my name, I knew. My mother had had a cardiac arrest during the night. She didn't suffer. My sister made a point of telling me this, that she went in her sleep, that she felt no pain. I heard Ananya's words, as if they were coming from very far away, as if I were underwater, and the sound was reaching me distorted, slow, too heavy to take in. I don't remember hanging up the phone. I remember being on the floor of my apartment hallway. I don't know how I got there, with the phone in my hand and an absolute silence inside me. It was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of when something breaks, in a way that cannot be repaired. My mother was 71 years old. She was gone without seeing me return, without seeing me arrive with a suitcase, without seeing me sit in her kitchen again, without seeing me give back to her even a fraction of everything she had given me. The jewelry she sold to send me to the United States was never repurchased. Over time, when I sent money, she used it for other things: home repairs, medicine, help with the grandchildren. She never complained. She never asked for repayment. She never made me feel I had a debt. But I knew. I always knew, Imrao. This time there was no bureaucracy to stop me. The green card situation had advanced enough to make the trip safer. And even if it hadn't, I would have gone regardless. There are things that surpass any system, any rule, any fear. Standing before my mother's body at the cremation ritual, with the smoke rising and the mantras being chanted all around, was the loneliest and most collective experience of my life at the same time. The entire family was there. The neighbors, who had known her for 40 years, were there. People I barely recognized, but who had clearly loved her, were there. And still, in the middle of all of that, I felt myself in a private vacuum, in a place only I occupied, the place of the one who was far away when she should have been near. My sister told me things during those days, things my mother had never told me directly. She told me my mother kept a photo of me on her bedside table, a photo from my graduation day, me in a black gown, her beside me smiling that wide smile she had. She told me that every time someone asked about the daughter in the United States, her eyes would light up, that she spoke of my achievements with a pride that filled the room. She told me that in her final months, when her health began to decline further, she would sometimes pick up that photo and just look at it. "She was so proud of you," my sister told me. "She never doubted you would come back. She believed that until the very end." That sentence did me so much good and broke me apart at the same time. I am 52 years old today. I have been in the United States for 9 years. I have my green card. My husband Rayesh is here with me. He came in the 3rd year. My children grew up here. Rohan is 25 and Mira is 23, both adults now, with their own lives beginning. We built a real life here, not just a life in transit. And yet, every time someone asks me, "Are you happy there?" I need to take a deep breath before answering, because the answer is not simple. It is never simple for any of us who made this crossing. Yes, I built things here that I would not have built in Pune. Professionally, I grew in ways that fill me with gratitude. Financially, I was able to give my children opportunities I did not have. I was able to send money to the family when they needed it. I was able to be a safety net for people I love. But the price is what nobody puts in the brochure, in the motivational video, in the success posts on social media. The price is my mother opening that wooden box. The price is me calling every Sunday and her asking, "When are you coming?" And me saying soon for years and years until there were no more Sundays. The price is not being there when she went to the hospital for the first time with her heart, not being there on the nights when she must have been frightened, not being there to make for her the chai she always made for me when I was sick, not being able to return even a little of the care she poured over me throughout her entire life. I carry this. Every immigrant who came from far away and left parents behind carries some version of this. It is a weight that does not appear in the success stories, but that is present in every single one of them. There is something I want to say to those who are considering making this journey, especially the women, and I speak especially to you, because I know the specific pressure that falls on us. The expectation that we sacrifice and do not complain. The idea that caring for others from a distance is enough when it is not. It is never enough the way being present would be. I am not here to tell you not to go. That is not my message. My journey was real and the achievements were real, and I would not erase anything. Because to erase would also be to erase the pride my mother had. And her pride was one of the most precious gifts of my life. But I want you to know what the system truly is. I want you to know that I'll go for 2 years and come back, can become 9, can become 15, can become an entire lifetime, not because you didn't want to return, but because the processes, the visas, the circumstances, life itself, build walls around you in ways you didn't anticipate when you were sitting on that plane full of hope. I want you to call your mother, not on the Sunday you planned, now, tomorrow, every chance you get. Don't wait until you have big news to share. Call to hear about the neighbor's dog, about the coriander garden, about the cousin's daughter's wedding. Those small conversations are what you will want back when they are no longer available. I want you not to postpone the visit because of work. I know the company has a deadline. I know you are at a critical point in the project. I know the tickets are expensive, but your mother also has deadlines. Deadlines that none of us know, written somewhere we don't have access to. And if you are like me, if you are already on the other side of this story, if you have already lost someone while you were far away, I want you to know that what you feel has no right name in most languages. It is grief, and it is guilt, and it is love, and it is longing, and it is anger at the system, and it is anger at yourself, and it is gratitude, and it is everything all at once. It is human. You are not alone in this. My mother sold her jewelry so that I could fly. She asked nothing in return except a promise I was not able to keep the way I wanted to, but I will tell you what I do with that now. I carry her with me. I carry her orange sari in the Mumbai airport. I carry her hands opening that wooden box. I carry the cardamom chai she made in the early mornings. I carry the photo of her that now sits on my bedside table. Now I am the one who keeps the photo, as she kept mine. Every time someone asks me where my strength to keep going comes from, I know the answer. It comes from a woman in Pune who opened a small wooden box and said, "You are my most courageous daughter. Go with God." I went, "Ma, I went with everything you gave me, and I carry you in every step."